What's going on, guys? I hope everybody's having a good night. I'm going to be honest, I've been playing out of the park baseball for almost 15 years now, and this is one of the more exciting times I've had to fire up the game and turn it on. We got some good stuff tonight. I'm going to check out the Unicorns and the Bruins real quick. We're going to open a couple packs with them just to ease into things tonight, and then we're going to go ahead and get started with our Iron team, our Iron players that we saw over the last week in the Iron tournaments. After that, we'll have the main event tonight, which is going to be 250 packs. We're trying to finish up some live collections. We'll go into them, and we'll see if we can't get some pretty good cards out of those collections tonight. So sit back, enjoy, chat with me. I'd love to sit here and chat with people, so it makes it a lot more fun. But otherwise, we're just going to head right into 2 packs and or 4 packs with the Unicorns and the Bruins and get started nice and easy tonight. So the Unicorns are sitting almost at 500 after the changes we made on Monday. We'll see if these packs can help them out a little bit. As far as the team's concerned, 47-51, still in last place, but not as bad as last season, not as bad as it could be. Burns, Kershaw, Fried are still pitching pretty well at the top end of the rotation. Adrian Hauser is actually pitching pretty well at the back end too, with a 3.03 earned run average. Silvio Martinez not so much there in the 4 spot. Bullpen is 5th in the league, 5th in runs, 14th in the league in runs scored, so maybe add a little bit of offense. Just Peterson's not getting on base at the top of the order. Fletcher's getting on base, but isn't driving them in. Alonso's hitting home runs, but nobody's on base. And Aristides Aquino is hitting pretty well. He's got some power for us, but otherwise, not a lot going on for them. As far as All-Stars this season, Pete Alonso is the only All-Star for them, so it is Thursday. It is All-Star Thursday for the 2023 Perfect Team season. What's up, man? How's it going, BPC? Yeah, we're going to open some packs later on tonight. I don't know how many you're going to open. A lot of people are probably opening more than me, but I'm pretty excited to get to these packs here in just a little bit. We're going to open these 2 with the Unicorn, see if we can improve this team just a little bit. So my number 2 and number 3 teams just are not very good right now. They haven't had the pack luck that the Decimals have had. Opening these 1 and 2 packs. Start off with a silver. So that's probably somebody that can slot in. We're going to do that after. I'm not going to mess around with these teams too much, as they're not our prime thing going on here. Always hoping that they get lucky out of these 1 or 2 packs, but they just got nothing going on right now. And that'll do it for the Unicorns. We'll go check in on the Bruins real quick, and then we'll get right into our Iron Tournament players, and then move on to the main event of the night. Hopefully you get something good. So their announcement tonight was they added 51 Negro League players. I imagine there's not going to be too many people coming over to watch me tonight, to be in all honesty, because I think that stream's still going on. The Bruins actually got us an extra pack, so that's cool. We'll get 3 packs with the Bruins. Already got our silver out of these 2 teams tonight, though, so we probably won't get anything better than that. Usually my first perfect always comes when I have 1, 2, or 3 packs for these teams, though, and you never really know when it's going to drop. Got a gold Jordan Alvarez. That's a card that I wish... We'll talk about it in a little bit, but I think I wish that card would have waited for the Decimals to be open and packs to come out, in all honesty. Ryan Yarbrough is one of our guys. If you're running bronze tournaments, Ryan Yarbrough has been pretty good. And the last pack. And we'll start in on the Iron teams. Got a little bit of a late start tonight, 8:15 instead of 8 o'clock. Got stuck running pirate ships with the wife, which is always fun. Had to make sure we finished the missions before I let her go set sail on her own. Who knows what she's going to get into. All right, so heading on to log in with the decimals here. So they actually earned us another pack. So we've got 258 packs we'll end up opening with them tonight. Maybe probably more because I've got collections to turn in, but those aren't going to be until the end. They got knocked out of all their tournaments, unfortunately. But let's go ahead and get right into these Iron Tournament players that I'm seeing. So I've run the Iron Tournaments for about a week now, and it's been not nearly as eye-opening as the Bronze Tournament. So I'll be honest, it's been kind of a crapshoot. Some of these players there's not a lot of players that are really sticking out to me as must-haves in the Iron. I think it's a little bit more of a hit or miss and a crapshoot with these guys. So for anybody who hasn't been here, what I looked at was I took a bunch of the stats for the players. I copied everything over to spreadsheets, tried to make one stat that I can run all these players through instead of, because it's just a lot of data and there's not a lot of good ways to track it as far as the tournaments and seeing who's good, unless you really want to dig into ratings and stuff like that. But I like stats. And so I copied everything over. I got hundreds of tournaments out of these guys and tried to pare them down to the top 5 at each position that we'll go through. I looked at the guys who finished in the top 25% and then the guys who finished in the bottom 25%. And then we look at the percentages to see who we're getting good performances out of and who we're getting bad performances out of. And so I call it my top 25 percentage and my dud percentage for these players. So because I'm terribly imaginative when it comes to this stuff. So I'll get into tomorrow night when I do the pictures. I'll get into a little bit more about how I made the whole process work. But for tonight, we got a lot going on. So let's just go ahead and get into these position players. And we'll start out with our catchers. And at number 5, our number 5 rated catcher is Alive 2020 Jake Rogers for the Detroit Tigers. He's shown up 14 times in these tournaments, been in the top 25%, 35% of the time he's been in them, and just a 21% dud percentage. So not the best card on this list. I'm telling you guys, this has been, I had bronze guys that were like good 35% of the time and not good 15% of the time, and I was able to make pretty good 5-player lists, I think. The irons were not as cut and dry as the bronzes were. Nice, gold 85 Didi. That's a good card. I think I need that card for my Yankees collection, to be honest. 2 Didis on back-to-back cards. I've seen 2 of the same player. I don't think I've ever seen 2 golds on back-to-back cards before. So good on you. You can sell one of them or both of them if you really don't like the Yankees like me, which is kind of biting me in the ass right now with these collections. At number 4, we had Andy Allenson, 1988 Unsung Heroes. Pretty good base running on this guy. The defense on both these guys is pretty good out of the catcher position. Ratings are kind of what you expect from Iron cards. Allenson's being used a lot more. So we're seeing 7 top 50s and 15 top 100s from him out of 565 performances or so. Showing a 26% top 25 percentage but a pretty high dud percentage at 25%. So what that's telling me is that this guy just disappears a lot in these tournaments and doesn't play very well for you guys. I'm not running this card. I haven't run him in any tournaments yet, so I'm not sure how he would perform for me. So he has some top end. He's getting used a lot for some reason, but he's flaming out quite a bit too. Unfortunately, there was nobody else that I really tried to find other guys that I could plug in here. The only reason Rogers isn't above him is really just small sample size. Because like one bad performance from Rogers and all of a sudden he's at 30% dud percentage. So that's why Allenson's above him. Number 3 is Michael Perez. 53 tournaments for him, 4 top 20. So you're getting some pretty good high top end performance out of Michael Perez right now. 9 top 50s and 14 times in the top 100. So anytime that a quarter of a dude's appearances are in the top 100, once you're talking about 600 performances, that's pretty good. Issues with Perez is that he's flaming out a lot too, almost a 30% dud percentage. The only reason he's above the other 2 guys is because he's playing better. His defense is on par with the other 2 guys as well. But overall, bunch of mediocre options here in the Iron tournaments at catcher. At number 2, I have Martin Maldonado. 42 appearances for him. 1 top 20, 6 top 50s, and 10 top 100s. So out of those 42, he's been in the top 100 almost 25%. I like him a little bit better just because he's not giving the duds that Michael Perez is given. That's pretty much the reason he's above him. Also, at catcher, I really like my defense up the middle. The catcher, shortstop, second base, and center field defense is really important to me, and this Martin Maldonado card has really good defense. Both ability, arm, and rating at the catcher position are all really good. This is a pretty good iron card at catcher. Coming at number 1, 30 appearances, 2 top 20, 6 top 50s, and 9 top 100s out of those 30. In the top 25%, almost 45% of the time, and with just a 10% dud percentage right now, is Pedro Severino. I think there's a little bit of small sample size bias here, not super small. The other guys don't have a ton more appearances than him. But I have a feeling this card's going to drop. I really like the other card a little bit better, that Maldonado card a little bit better. But for now, Severino's been outperforming him in these tournaments. So he's been pretty good. Overall, I'm running him and Maldonado as 1 and 2 for me, and both of them are performing okay for us in the iron tournaments, which is all you can really ask for from iron cards anyway. Moving on to the first baseman. Boom, give you some animations there. Casey Kotchman at number 5, the 2008 snapshot card. He's getting used a lot. 89 appearances so far, 2 in the top 29 in the top 100. Not going to strike out for you, provides okay defense at first base. The problem I have with him is that his dud percentage is actually higher than his top 25 percentage. The other issue I have with first baseman is that there aren't very many of them showing up in these tournaments, and almost all of them have a dud percentage way higher than their top 25 percentage. So it's a real crapshoot with these first basemen, other than the top couple. So at number 4, we've got Ronald Guzman. Right now, the 2020 live card with 41 appearances, 6 of those in the top 100. A little bit higher top 25 percentage than Kotchman, so he's giving you that top end a little bit more often. But still a 29.3% dud percentage. I try to avoid having these guys on these lists, but unfortunately, the first base position in the iron tournaments is kind of overrun by our number 1 and number 2 guys. He kind of on par with Kotchman. I like the Kotchman ratings a little bit better, but the Guzman card is performing just a little bit better at this point. So we stuck him just above Kotchman at number 4. And number 3 is Albert Pujols, the live 2020 MLB card. 89 appearances, getting used all over the place. 13 top 100 appearances. Good top 25 percentage of 30.3 and just an 18% dud percentage. So here you see in Pujols, and that dud percentage is coming down a little bit, not nearly as high as the Guzman and the Kotchman. So a lot of Pujols is out of his power. I use him as a designated hitter, not a first baseman. I do not rank the designated hitters because they're a little bit confusing, and not everybody that plays as a designated hitter gets listed as a designated hitter. So they get listed as first baseman or their position that they play at. And number 2, live Bobby Bradley with 79 appearances. A little bit more top end than Pujols going on right now. I like the ratings on this card just a little bit better. He gives you a little bit more gap power. He's going to strike out more for you, but overall, he's a little bit more balanced there. Right now, with 6 top 20s out of his 79 appearances, 18 top 100s. Higher dud percentage, though. I think if these could easily be reversed. So either one of these could go 3 and 2, and I think that they're pretty evenly matched. Bradley's just given us a little bit more of that top end right now that we're missing out on from Pujols. He's had more mediocre appearances. And coming in at number 1 with 241 appearances, I honestly almost put Bradley at number 1, but figured that was probably just me trying to be smarter than everybody else, because everybody is using this guy with 33 performances in the top 100 right now. Almost a third of the top 100 performances I've seen from first baseman are this guy with just a 10% dud percentage is Vic Power, 1960 Unsung Heroes. Not a ton of power from this card, but good contact, good gap power, good number 2 hitter here. He's got some speed. He can run for you here in the iron tournaments, and he provides better defense than any of the other options at first base too. So if you're looking for a good defensive first baseman, this here's your guy. I like him as a number 2 hitter on my team, maybe a number 3, because it is, you know, like we said, it's just an iron tournament, so he can be used at number 3 as well. Not going to strike out either, so he's going to put the ball in play for you. Apologies for the noise. But otherwise, Vic Power is pretty clear, head and shoulders above everybody else. I did consider Bradley at number 1 just because of his top end for his limited performances, but Vic Power is the guy right now. He's the number 1 iron first baseman. Moving on to the second baseman. Coming in at number 5 is Frank White, 1977 unsung hero. 31 appearances, 35% in the top 25%, and 16% dud percentage. So this is a guy I like for his defense. He's at number 5 because he just doesn't, he would probably be higher if he had a little bit more appearances. But with 35.5% and 16%, that's really good so far for the amount of appearances he's been in. And he's got good defense. So I like this card at number 5. At number 4 is live Adrian Sanchez. A little bit fewer on the appearances, but he's showing a lot of top end right now. 5 in the top 50, 6 in the top 100. His ratings at the plate are just a little bit higher than Frank White. Running is pretty comparable, but his defense is just a little bit lower than White's. The only reason that he's above White right now is just because he's providing a little bit more of that really high end in the top 50 out of 746 performances. He's been up there 5 times and almost a 40% top 25 percentage. So pretty good card to have there in the Iron Tournaments. At number 3, 1933 unsung hero Huey Critz. Now this guy suffers a little bit from small sample size, and he's very defensive driven. His ratings, I do add defense to the stats when I'm running these guys, and Huey Critz is one of those guys that just kind of shows up every time because of his defense. But he's showing almost a 37% top 25 percentage and just a 9.1% dud percentage. Outstanding defensive ratings. You're talking 110 rating at second base, above 90 almost across the board for his individual defensive ratings. Not going to strike out a lot for you either. He's going to put the ball in play. Maybe a good number 2, more likely a number 8, number 7 hitter. A guy who can get the ball down on the ground in the infield and maybe move your runners up that are on second base or third base. But been a pretty good card. I am running him as my backup right now. The guy I'm running as my starter right now is Ricky Weeks. Just 21 appearances for him too, but 3 of them are in the top 20. 9 of them, almost half of his performances so far, have been in the top 100. Not as good defensively as Huey Critz, but he's been in the top 25% based on his offense 62% of the time out of his 21 appearances. So probably not sustainable, probably playing above his ratings just a little bit. But for now, he's here solidly at number 2 for your number 2 iron second baseman. At number 1, with 135 appearances, 4 top 20 performances, 17 in the top 50, 26 top 100. Another guy who's getting used a lot, almost 35% in the top 25% and just a 16% dud percentage, which I can say is pretty reliable at this point after 135 appearances, is Placido Polanco, the 2006 snapshot card. Another guy who relies on his defense, but he does give you moderately good contact with a good avoid case. He's going to put the ball in play. He's going to get on base for you. He's not fast, but he can steal, and he's good. He's a good, smart base runner. So this is a card that can play for you on any iron tournament. And he's been really good so far, and he's getting used by a lot of guys. And so I like what I've seen out of him. The third baseman, coming in at number 5, is the live Taylor Ward card. 38 appearances, 32% in the top 25 percentage, and just a 21% dud percentage. He's here in the top 5 because he's got 9 of his appearances in the top 100. That's a lot for the size of the samples that we have. He's got good home run power, good eye discipline, kind of a little lower on the other ratings, can play multiple positions for you, including catcher. So if you need a guy that's going to back up your catcher every 3 or 4 days, he might be a guy that you can platoon and avoid that number 2 or number 3 straight up catcher for you, especially with no injuries in these tournaments. Can steal a little bit, but otherwise I think he's a guy that right now is performing a little bit above his ratings, but we'll see as time goes on. Number 4, third baseman, is 1988 unsung hero Steve Lyons. I didn't want to do this because I don't really like the guy in real life, but in 55 appearances, he's got 10 top 100s. Just a 14.5% dud percentage, though, so I like that a lot. I know that Ward's got a little bit higher top end, but Lyons is avoiding the stinkers, and he's got good contact, good gap power, and a little bit better speed, and he can play center field for you, which is one of those premium defensive positions. We're actually going to see this card again later on tonight, so I'm not going to talk about it too much right now. I'm not happy about doing that, but the Iron Tournaments left me no choice. At number 3 is Cal Ripken Jr., the 1998 Unsung Hero, with 53 appearances, 11 in the top 100, 2 in the top 20. Top 25 percentage of almost 38%, and a dud percentage of just under 21. This card is pretty decent across the board as far as his ratings, not going to strike out. No speed to speak of, so please don't put him in your lineup and then tell him to steal all the time, because all you're going to do is buy outs. Okay defensively, probably a little bit better as an infield defender than Lyons and Ward, but third's not really one of those premium defensive positions, although I do like having a good defensive third baseman. Ripken's just a little bit above those guys. A little bit more well-rounded card than Lyons and Ward at this point, I think. At number 2 is Terry Pendleton. He is, with almost 40 appearances, he's got 5 in the top 100. Really low dud percentage of 15.4 and just over 40% in the top 25%. So I'm not enamored by his hitting abilities, but he gives you something those other 3 guys just don't give you. He gives you speed on the bases, and he gives you really awesome defense. So he's just good enough to be mediocre and better than mediocre. A lot of his value comes defensively, just like some of the second baseman cards that we saw. But so far, he's performing pretty well. Maybe a number 1 hitter for you if you want a guy with speed. Probably more likely for me a number 9 hitter, a guy who, if he happens to get on base out of the 9 spot, then the top of my order can drive him in. So I do like this card at number 2. I expect it to stay there. That's a really high top 25 percentage, maybe unsustainable at this point, but we'll see going forward. And number 1 with 53 appearances, so there's nobody that's really dominating the third base appearances like there were in the first base and the second base. 13 of his 53 appearances in the top 100, over 50% of the time, he's in the top 25%. And just a 15.1% dud percentage, we have Ian Stewart. 2010 snapshot card. For whatever reason, this card is performing really, really well right now. Probably because of that home run power. The highest on this list. A little bit of stealing ability, okay defense, not great. If I had to make a choice between the 2, I'd probably pick Pendleton, but right now, Stewart's the guy who's outperforming everybody else in the tournaments that I've seen. Moving on to the shortstops. At number 5 is Larry Bowa, 1983 snapshot. Here's another guy that gets most of his performance value out of his defense. He's been used 66 times. Just 4 top 100 appearances, but just a 12.1% dud percentage. So you're not getting a lot of top end out of him. But what you're also not getting is a guy who's going to go out there and lose the tournament for you either. Not much else to talk about on this guy. Really good defense. Excellent defensive card, and gives you some base running. So a card that you could definitely use. At number 4 is Roger Metzger. This guy has really small sample size, not a lot of times in these tournaments. Probably a number 9 hitter, maybe a number 8. Gives you some speed, some base running. But this is a guy that almost all of his value comes out of his defense. And at shortstop, that's a big deal to me. I do like his defensive values. I do like the ground ball pitchers that keep the ball in the park. And a good second baseman and a good shortstop can help them out. At number 3, another defensive wizard is Ray Sanchez with 50 appearances, so a little bit more appearances than Metzger. 15 of them in the top 100, 46% in the top 25%, and just a 14% dud percentage. Sanchez is a guy who also provides really good defense there at the shortstop hole and will provide good value for you in these tournaments. At number 2, a card I don't actually have yet is Mark Belanger. This guy's only got 21 appearances so far, but he's got good eye and good discipline, avoids strikeouts, has good speed, and even almost better defense than the Metzger card. So just a 4.8% dud percentage right now. So he would be number 1 with that, but with just 21 appearances so far, I couldn't put him at number 1. I do want this card to try him out in my tournaments. So this is one of the cards that we're hoping we open in the packs tonight. Anybody who's tuning in for the first time, my team is free to play and packs only. And so any of these guys I don't have, that's why. At number 1 at shortstop with 114 appearances, 22 in the top 100, 33% in the top 25, and just an 11% dud percentage is Ed Brinkman. This is the shortstop I'm running out there in my tournaments right now. Defense is just slightly below those guys, but he's just got more of a track record right now. I do think that Belanger card could be better than this one, but right now Brinkman's performing a little bit better than them. Maybe probably a 7 or 8 hitter in my lineup. To be honest, it's maybe outperforming his ratings a little bit, and another guy that gets all of his value out of his defense. So I like all of these cards, though. I think they're all pretty good at shortstop, and you could get far in tournaments with any one of them. Coming in on the left fielders, number 5 is alive Christian Stewart. Just 16 appearances, so another small sample size guy here. 18.8% dud percentage, so a pretty low dud percentage. I don't like this card. I think it'll probably fall out of the top 5 if I do this again in a couple weeks or a month. Don't know if that's going to happen right now, but we'll see how long I can keep this going. At number 4 is Sam Hilliard, also a live card. This guy can run for you. This guy can play some defense. With 159 appearances, he's getting used by everybody in these tournaments. He is putting up a pretty high dud percentage at 25.2 though, so he's just as likely to not play well for you as he is to play well. But 24 top 100 performances, you can get if you can catch lightning in a bottle and get him a good performance, he can be really useful for your team. Number 3 is 2001 Unsung Heroes Shane Spencer. A little bit more well-rounded than both of those other guys on offense. Just 30 appearances so far, but 7 in the top 100, and just a 16.7% dud percentage. So he's giving you a good chance to win every time he goes out there, and I like what this card's giving people. I actually don't have this card yet either, so there's only a couple iron cards that I'm missing out of all of these sets. At number 2 is Lane Thomas, who is 2020 MLB Live card. 21 appearances so far, so again, not a ton of appearances for these guys outside of Hilliard, who would be higher, except he stinks a lot of the time. Thomas is only a 14.3% dud percentage, though, and 6 of his appearances in the top 100. So if you extrapolate that to 160, you're looking at a good 28 top 100 performances if he had the amount of appearances that Hilliard has. So I really like this card a little bit better than that one. A little bit better, a little bit more well-rounded on offense. Really similar cards, though, if you look at them. Maybe a little bit more speed there from Hilliard, but for whatever reason, Lane Thomas is just performing a little bit better than Hilliard right now. And the number 1 bronze tournament left fielder with 74 appearances, 19 of them in the top 100, 42% in the top 25%, and just a 19% dud percentage is Gates Brown. A lot of people are using this guy. I'm using this guy. Good home run power. One of the few iron cards that gives you both gap power and home run power in this way, and I think that's probably why people are using it. And no speed to speak of. This guy is purely a hitter. Really doesn't give you a lot of defensive capabilities out there in left field. Maybe a DH. If you're running 2 first basemen with one of them DH, then you might have to put him in left field, but there are worse guys to have in left field than him. So overall, he's the best left fielder right now in these iron tournaments. In center field, at number 5 is Rick Bassetti. I actually had him rated a lot higher, but then realized that he's only got 24 appearances. Good defensive card, good contact, good gap power, good speed and stealing. This is a card that I think could perform well. It's just a really small sample size right now. At number 4 is Albert Almora Jr., the live card. Defense is very similar, maybe a smidge better than the Bassetti card. Same thing with your speed and stealing, just a little bit better, just a little bit more well-rounded there on your batting ratings, a little bit more home run power, can accidentally run into one every now and then, more often than Bassetti can. 25% dub percentage, though, I could easily see these two guys switching spots, and I could easily go for Bassetti being higher than Almora Jr. as well, so it's just kind of a sample size thing at this point. At number 3 is Willie Davis. This card is performing really well with 35% in the top 25 percentage, 12 top 100s, and just a 17% dud percentage. He's got good gap power, kind of a doubles guy, not so much home runs, but he's going to get on base and then he's going to run for you. He's got really good speed and stealing ability, and he's got better defense than either of those other 2 cards. Makes a little more errors, but it kind of is what it is. He's got really good range and just slightly better defensively, I think, than those other 2 cards. Performing way better right now, though, with that top 25 and that dud percentage. He's been really good. At number 2 is live Jake Marisnick. 79 appearances right now, 17 of them in the top 100. A little bit higher dud percentage than Willie Davis, but gives you some speed, a little bit more defense, and a little bit more home run power. So I think this card's just a little bit better going forward than that Willie Davis, but I really think that either one of them could go 3 or 2. And at number 1 with 197 appearances, another instance of this many people can't be wrong, right? Almost half of the top 100 performances belong to this guy at 35.5% top 25 percentage, and just the 13.7% dud percentage is Steve Lyons. 1988 Unsung Heroes. Great center field ratings, good stealing and base running. We talked about him a little bit. So you got well-rounded, not a lot of home run power, good number 2 hitter maybe for you. Good contact and gap power for a iron card, and good defense at center field. I don't like putting two of the same card on the lists, but honestly, these iron tournaments are a little bit of a crapshoot, and so I couldn't get around it right now. Into right field, number 5 is Wayne Kirby with 82 appearances. Right field's where it gets really bad. He's got 7 top 100s, an 18% top 25 percentage, but a 24% dud percentage. So he's almost a third more likely to stink for you than he is to give you a good performance. Good pinch runner though, good speed and stealing and base running, and good defensively too. So maybe a defensive replacement or something like that for you. Number 4, you've got Scott Schiebler, 2020 MLB Live, with a 43% top 25 percentage, just a 12% dud percentage here for him. So performing much better than Wayne Kirby. Didn't have a lot of options at right field though, so that's how Kirby ended up on the list. Schiebler's performing a little bit better, only 16 appearances. So we'll see what he does going forward. It is a small sample size at this point. Number 3 is Jonathan Danza, 2020 MLB Live. Again, small sample size here, only 18 appearances, but just an 11% dud percentage. He does have that good contact and gap power, really good speed. This is a good number 1 or number 2 hitter on these iron tournaments, and he's performing well for people. Already 3 top 100s. We'll see if he gets some more. Good defensively in right field as well. At number 2 is Josh Reddick with 181 appearances, just a 15.5% dud percentage. A little bit more well-rounded batting ratings than those other guys. Not as much speed, but good stealing. Defense is mediocre. Performing really well, though, with 40 top 100 appearances out of 181, and almost 40% in the top 25%. So the number 1 right fielder and the last player on our list today with 55 appearances, 19 in the top 100, almost 50% of them in the top 25, and just 23% of them have been duds, is Anthony Santander, 2020 MLB Live card. So I don't know, guys. He's just performing really well. Kind of well-rounded batting. Not great eye discipline, but he's got good contact, gap, and home run power for a 59 rated iron card. Okay stealing, but for whatever reason, this card is just performing really well. This is my current lineup. I've got Maldonado and Severino at catcher, Power and Pujols, Weeks and Polanco as my infielders, Kristen Stewart at third base, Ed Brinkman playing shortstop, and then my 5 outfielders are Gates Brown, Steve Lyons, Jake Marisnick, Josh Reddick, and Anthony Santander. I've gotten a couple wins with this roster, not a ton. It's not performing as well as I would like, but again, iron tournaments seem like a little bit of a crapshoot. Tomorrow we're going to go over the iron tournament pitchers, I hope. I've started working on the silver tournament batters and pitchers. I'm running my team in 2 silver tournaments at a time right now. So we'll see what that gets us over the course of the next week. I think the silver stuff might be a little bit more interesting than this iron stuff has been. But we'll see how it goes. All right, so moving on to the decimals. They moved up to iron level this week after a pretty good week last week, as we talked about on Monday. And they have quite a bit going on here in the iron level. So currently 72 and 27. So they're having a good season. 21 games up. They're going to win the division. Just finished another 12-game winning streak. We had 5 or 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 all-stars in this team. We had Roy Oswalt pitched a no-hitter. We had Sandy Koufax has been crazy. Guys, this is a free-to-play packs-only team that's just gotten stupendously lucky with our pulls. So the lineup right now is Dick Groat leading off with a 353 batting average. Elmer Flick driving him in all over the place. Won a batter of the month. Just won the MVP of the All-Star game. Nap Lajoie, as I was told. You say I've been saying it wrong this whole time. It's Nap Lajoie. It is French, and so anybody who is offended by my pronunciation and will be going forward, I apologize. I will try my best to pronounce it properly. Jim Bottomley batting fourth. Lots of home runs, not as high of a batting average this season. To be expected, he's facing better competition. We did pull Ted Kluszewski on Monday. Kuchevsky. I'm probably butchering that one too. I'm not great at pronouncing names. He's batting 309 with 17 home runs, a worthy number 5 behind Jim Bottomley. Gabby Hartnett crushing it at catcher. Greg Nettles at third base, playing pretty well. Good defensively, though. This is a really good defensive card, and having him has been very useful. Very useful card there. We pulled him on Monday as well, along with Kluszewski when we opened 150 packs, along with Sandy Koufax. Springer and Harper rounding out the lineup at 8 and 9. We're looking to upgrade our outfield tonight for sure. May have a big upgrade if we can get what we want done. Rotation has been okay. Garrett Cole, Sandy Koufax, Max Scherzer, Roy Oswalt, and Jacob deGrom rounding out the rotation. We do have Strasburg and Guzman sitting in the bullpen waiting to come up if they need to. I did move Chris Sale into the bullpen as I dumped somebody. I forget which pitcher I got rid of, but some of my bullpen arms are struggling. The back end has been good, though, with Presley, Peronoski, and Liam. I moved Hendricks into the closer position for Taylor Rogers, who was blowing saves for us left and right. And Hendricks has been pretty solid since then. He's up to 20 saves now. He's blown 3, but 2 of them came in his first 2 save attempts. So he's been pretty solid for us there at the closer. Tonight, the main event is opening packs. We've got 257 to open up right now, but we're going to go real quick and show you what I'm excited about tonight. So we have some missions we're looking to complete. We've completed a whole bunch. So I was sitting here on Tuesday and I said, you know what? I should check out these missions. And then I started looking at them and I was like, wow, I've completed a lot of these teams. And then I saw these live missions down here. If we complete these, for instance, the American League East, we get this special edition Mike Mussina. Some of these cards are really good. And then I saw 1967 Carl Yastrzemski, and I said, there's no chance I'm ever going to get that card. And then I looked up and I realized that I'm only 4 completed teams in the American League away from getting Carl Yastrzemski. And then I looked at the National League ones, and it was, what is this, Greg Maddux, a special edition Greg Maddux. And then I was like, well, if I complete both of those, there's this 100 rated Yogi Berra. There's no way I can complete these live cards, right? Because all I do is packs. It's just, there's no way I'm completing these sets in packs. But then I realized that I'm 42 cards away from completing the rest of these teams. And so tonight we're going to open 257 packs. And here's what we're looking at on this collection. I'm going to show you one of these trusty Excel spreadsheets again. I know how much you guys love them. But these are the players we're looking to get tonight. So you can see the Astros and the White Sox. 2 teams that were 3 cards away from closing out the AL Central and the AL West and getting some cool cards there. So Gurriel, Brantley, Altuve, Alvarez, you can see almost all of them are silver, gold. So the big ones are going to be the Yankees here. So we need 2 from the Rays, 2 from the White Sox, and 1 from the Astros. The Yankees are tough. So I did, unfortunately, sell an Aroldis Chapman last week out of principle. So we're 10 short on the Yankees. I haven't seen any of these other guys. Lots of silvers here. So they might be our shortcoming tonight as we try to finish up and get these missions complete. On the National League side, you can see we've got the Phillies, Rockies, and Padres. We need 1 player from each of them, all silver. We need the Pirates and the Brewers and the Diamondbacks and the Dodgers are 2 away. The Cubs are 3. The Cardinals are 3. The Braves are 4, and the Mets are 6. So New York hates me, probably with good reason. I don't like the New York baseball teams very much either, but I feel like they're taking it out on me a little bit harshly. And I want to point out that Brent Suter continues to haunt me. This is the card I've been looking for my bronze tournament team to really close out my rotation. And Brent Suter just does not want to show up. I need 2 Brewers to close out the Brewers collection, and Brent Suter is one of them. And I'm pretty sure I'm going to have to go on his Twitter feed and ask him to stop taunting me, because I'm frankly getting kind of tired of it here, because I've got multiples of his card on my other 2 teams, and they've opened like 12 packs each. So getting pretty annoying here on the decimals that I can't get Brent Suter. But we're going to track this as the night goes on. 42 cards to complete all of these missions and try to get that 100 rated Yogi Berra card. We'll see how it works out. We got some other missions that we're looking at being pretty close to finishing. Let's see, we got this, the Cuban Iron stuff here. We got, apparently we finished the Dominican Iron. These are all teams. We've got a Venezuelan one that we're 2 away from. So we got a lot of stuff that we could close out today on these missions. We're going to turn them in at the end of the packs, but for now, we're going to go straight into the packs and start opening them. So I'm going to bring up the cards that we're looking for and the current mission status there on the bottom of this screen. So I brought it out last time, so on the right side you can see the cards I'm looking for this main team. Always looking for that perfect Pedro. We're looking to upgrade the outfield. We're still looking to get some of these bullpen arms, and we're looking to close out these live missions. Let's see, nothing in here that's going to do us any good so far on these live missions. For my bronze tournament team, I'm looking for Brent Suter and Ross Stripling and out of the live cards, and then we're looking at Vic Aldridge, Ozzie Smith, Gerald Williams, Maury Rath, and Michael Givens to try to close out our bronze tournament team. They've been performing okay, but not great. And then in the Iron Tournament, we're looking for that Mark Belanger card to try to close it out. So we have 250 something packs left to try to do this in. We'll see how it goes. Come on. I don't know if that's a server issue or a game issue. We may end up needing to restart out of the park here if it doesn't catch up. Royals, Angels, Braves. We've got Tukey, James McCann of the White Sox, Doug Griffin, Ponce de Leon. We have, so none of those are cards that are terribly useful to us right now. We're going to go ahead and after this next pack, we're going to restart out of the park and see if we can't get this running a little bit better, because this is going to be annoying if it takes this long all night. Guzman, Moran, Connor Joe, another Suki Toussaint. Go ahead and quit and reopen out of the park. See if we can't get a better connection going on here. Oh no. April 20th. Oh, okay. So, no, couldn't affect us right now. Just got word from the other room that my wife's game is lagging as well, so let's blame the kids in Suddenlink. So if this doesn't get better, we may have to cancel packs tonight and move them to tomorrow. Yep. Unfortunately, it doesn't look like it's going to work tonight. I can't fix it right now. So, apologies. I was really looking forward to this. We still got 253 packs or so to open. I can't even get into the game now, so there's no sense in staying here and bothering you guys anymore. So, hopefully, we can try again maybe a little bit later tonight. I'm going to give it maybe half an hour, and then I'll see if I can get it back on. And maybe we'll fire it back up in 30 minutes. If not, we'll try it again tomorrow. So, thanks for coming and hanging out for the short time we were able to. But hopefully things will work better here in a little while.